Halloween is almost here, and that only means one thing. Spooky Crawl 2025 coming up this Saturday. So let's take a look at what we're going to do. Now, I've been working for the past number of days getting a vehicle ready for the Spooky Crawl because it's not about crawling competency so much as it is about style and flair. So this is about how good your truck looks, how much have you done to make it Halloween themed. So I've got a new truck that I've just actually took out of the box just for this, just to get ready for this, because I knew it would be perfect to decorate and get ready for the Spooky Crawl. So let's take a look and see what we got going on. And here it is, a Jeep CJ7 from Axial. Of course, decorated up a little bit and actually pretty heavily modified. We're going to take a look at what we all did here to make this thing Spooky Crawl ready. So first thing you probably see are all the twinkle lights. I got orange twinkle lights, of course, for Halloween theming, and wrapped them around the cage. Probably the second thing you notice is the cobwebs. That's just dental floss. In the back, we've got our little Halloween patch here. We've got our pumpkins with some facial expressions that I 3D printed. We have a coffin that I 3D printed. And by the way, the filament, this orange filament, is glow in the dark. So that'll be cool to see once it gets fully dark out. Here, we've got a little unicorn. And since you probably already saw the driver, you know whose unicorn that is. It is Deadpool's. I know Deadpool is not necessarily a scary character, but it's getting really hard to find action figures. There was not a lot. I mean, there was a Jason and a Freddy and things like that, but they were a lot more than I wanted to spend for this build. So I was able to find, in fact, I was able to find both Deadpool and Wolverine here, and something else you may have caught if you had a keen eye there. I'm going to show you in a second. But I was able to get both these guys for about what the price of the Freddy and the Jason action figures were, that I would have wanted to use and that were articulated enough to put in the Jeep. The third character we have on here is Headpool as our hood ornament. I thought that was a perfect place for them. Now, as long as we're right here, you might notice that one of my blinkers is out. It was like that, the way it came from the shop. This particular truck did sit in our local hobby shop for quite some time before I purchased it, and I got it on the sale Axial had earlier this month where they had 30% off. It is an expensive truck. I feel like for what it is for the regular price. However, if you get it on one of those sales, pick it up, because I mean, for the scale look, the body looks amazing. All the scale details it has. If there's a bunch of other videos out on YouTube that you can watch. I mean, just the fact that the doors come off, they are removable. It has a functional center console that you can actually store stuff in. You've got steering wheel. There's actual foot pedals down there too in the driver's side. You know, it's got the shifting knobs, got the dash, everything. I mean, it's just really, I mean, you got windshield wipers, folding mirrors. I guess I'm going to do the little overview. You got the bumper, the front bumper or bull bar there. You do have lights included, so it has the taillights, headlights, and the turn indicators. However, they don't work in the sense like you get reverse lights, brake lights, things like that. They're just on or off. And if you've already had another keen eye and noticed, I put the rock lights in. And these rock lights are something special. They are actually an Axial part. I'll put it in the description, but you can hook it up to your radio and actually change the colors by changing the dial. So I have it hooked up to a dial on my Flysky radio here, and I'm able to cycle through the colors. So it cycles through essentially 7 different colors: red, green, blue, yellow, magenta, cyan, and then white. So we're on yellow, so the next one is just magenta, then cyan, and then white, and then it'll go off. So there's 8 different positions: red, green, blue, yellow, magenta, cyan, and then white, and then off. And the funny thing is that the colors are not assigned to a certain value on the channel. It's just you have to go so far before it changes. And it's the controller, it's a little black box, is just looking for enough of a change in the value that you input into it to change the light colors. So I tried putting it on just a button to see if a button would be enough to switch it, and maybe I have to futz with the settings. I'm sure it would probably work if I just put it on a button on the controller, but the dial has worked the best so far. All right, let's take a look under the hood to see what we've done to this thing. And by the way, it's not done yet. There's a part that I got in today. Well, you know what? I'm going to just tell you what it was. The wheels. I got my Treal wheels in them. They are red and silver. They're going to look great. However, I'm waiting for the brass beadlock rings to come in because I want to get as much weight towards the bottom of this thing with how heavy this scale body is. All right, let's take the body off and see what we have underneath. While we're going to do this, I'm going to just show that the stock way to take the body off is not the most fun. So we've got two clips right here. You see the pull tabs that go underneath, and then there's two more that go on the back underneath the wheel well. You can see the pull tab right there. I'll put it right in the center of the screen, so right in the middle. You can see it there and how it goes into that post. They are a pain to get to, so I have ordered the Fine Laser Designs clipless system, and I'm hoping that's going to be a lot easier to put this body on and off when you got to work on this vehicle. While we're also here, you probably see one of the first upgrades I've done. We have D.Lux Fab 92mm shocks on all four corners, and there is a difference between front and rear. This thing is going to be much heavier in the front than it is in the rear, so we have the light springs for the D.Lux Fab shocks in the rear, and the soft springs, and then the medium springs up front, so that when the truck sits, it sits fairly level. When I had soft springs all the way around, they were compressed all the way down in the front, like there was no downward travel. Here they're still compressed, leaving maybe about 1/4 to 3/8 of an inch for downward travel yet, for it to spring back up. Actually, it's not even, yeah, it might be still sitting all the way down because they are pretty soft springs. But again, I put the heavier rate springs in the front, or the higher rate springs, so that hopefully it would get a little bit more push down and hold this body up a little more level. But it does sit at a much nicer lower stance versus the stock shocks. The stock shocks had a way up. The other thing too is that the stock shocks had pretty much leaked all the oil out already by the time I opened the box, and they were just bouncing like crazy. So I didn't feel like topping them off with oil. I was just like, I'm going to go with the shorter shocks, get the lower stance, and build the shocks. You know, D.Lux Fab are good shocks. They're essentially a very similar shock to, I want to say it's the Traxxas 2260 big bore shock that a lot of crawlers use, which is a very reliable design, very unlikely to leak, as Traxxas shocks are known to not leak much at all. So really good. First thing that you can see right away is that stance. The lowered stance is going to bring down the center of gravity, make this thing more stable, and they are red anodized, so we're kind of going with a red theme here to match the body for Deadpool. All right, let's take a look under the hood. All right, once you take the clips out, the body just lifts straight up and off. Pretty straightforward. There are two wires to hook up those lights, so you got to be conscious of those, that you don't pull those when you take the body off. So we're going to set it down. I did turn the fairy lights off since those are on those little coin batteries that they're operated on, and I want to save them for the spooky crawl. So, all right, give me a second. I'm going to readjust, and then we're going to take a look under the hood. Looking under the hood here, probably one of the first things you see and notice your eyes drawn to is that that is not the stock transmission. Nope. That is a Vanquish VFD transmission that I took out of my Fordyce. So if you saw one of my other videos, I have a VS410 Fordyce that I got from the Trucks of Freedom haul that Vanquish did back in July. And in that truck, I swapped this transmission out for a VF Twin so I could have dig and selectable overdrive in the Fordyce. And this transmission then I just had sitting around as a spare. And then I was looking up some modifications for this CJ7, and I came across the Harley Designs channel with the gentleman that also works for Vanquish. I apologize that I'm blanking on his name right now, so sorry if you ever watch this, sir. I apologize in advance. I'll get it right in the future, I promise. But I saw his video where he was trying to lower the center of gravity of this truck and make some mods to it, and I liked what I saw, so I pretty much took everything he did and did it here. I bought his 3D printed 3D print file off of his website from Harley Designs and printed it off using PETG filament. There's two pieces. There's the part that goes to the skid plate, goes between the skid plate and the transmission to mount this transmission, and then there's also a piece right up here that connects to the front of the transmission to kind of hold it in place and stabilize it. A couple of the other mods that I had to do to make this VFD transmission work with everything here is, first, I had to put a longer drive shaft on the front axle, and I actually ended up just using a Vanquish Driveshaft because I had a bunch of spare Vanquish Driveshaft parts. And then the other thing I had to do was Dremel out this top cross member a little bit. You can see it kind of right there where the Dremel marks are. But essentially I just had to give a little more clearance for the front spur gear on the VFD transmission to clear this. Otherwise it was rubbing on this pretty easily. And while it's in there fairly solid, it can move a little bit with enough pressure side to side on it. So giving a little extra clearance with that is super helpful. Of course, with this, I put in the Hobbywing Fusion Pro. Nothing new there. I use that motor a lot in my crawlers. Over here on the side, of course, we have the button for the Hobbywing Fusion Pro, and here we have the Flysky 8-channel receiver. Same receiver I put in the Fordyce. I don't need 8 channels. In fact, all I'm using right now is 2. For some reason, I thought I was going to need more than 4 channels because all of these lights work off of the receiver power. So the front and rear headlight, taillights on the body, and then these rock lights, they all get their power right from the receiver. So kind of nice that they don't need a separate light controller to operate. In the front here, we have gone ahead and upgraded our servo right away. That is the PerfectPass Monster 56 kilogram servo. Pretty much has become my de facto go-to favorite servo that I've used in pretty much everything. Anytime I upgrade a servo, it tends to be this. I have upgraded to a couple Savox servos in a couple of my rigs. In fact, the Fordyce has the high torque Savox servo. It's actually more power than this one, according to the box. And what was the other one? I've got a TRX4 with the tracks that I put that same high torque, high power Savox servo in it because the tracks really need as much power as you can get for that turning. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that if you upgrade the servo in this CJ7, you have to get a new servo horn because the stock Axial servo horn is 23 teeth, and pretty much every other 10-scale servo out there uses a 25 tooth on the servo horn. So Axial does make an upgrade part for that gives you a 25 tooth servo horn, and I do recommend sticking with the Axial part because it's going to be hard to see down here. However, it's blurry because the glare from like there. Might get it here. There's a servo horn right there. It's got a special shape to it. It seems to be specifically designed to get that connection point for that servo arm, for the link to the axle down lower from where the servo is mounted. So I do recommend getting the Axial part for that. That's in the 25 tooth. So there we are, looking under the hood. Fusion Pro from Hobbywing, the PerfectPass Servo, and look how little space the electronics take up because you've got that 2-in-1 Fusion Pro. You've literally just got a receiver and a button here, and then you got your battery over here, and that's it. You're ready to rock. So we're gonna wait a few days now because today is Wednesday. The Spooky Crawl is Saturday. When we pick this video back up, it'll be Saturday. We'll be at the Spooky Crawl. See you in a few days. All right, it is one day before the Spooky Crawl, and I have my truck pretty much in final form here, so here it comes. I'm out and bit, and there it is. There's a few differences from where we had this the other day. First thing you'll probably notice is we've got our rims on here. Second thing, I made little ducks for the dashboard, including a little Deadpool duck there on the right. The rest are just different colors. We have Spider-Man spiders on the cobwebs. Over on the other side, Logan has his Halloween bucket, and we actually did fill it with nerds. I glued them in there so they'd stay. Logan's like, this is my costume, just regular clothes, but I'm still taking the candy. Deadpool is wearing the sorting hat from Harry Potter. And then, of course, more Spider-Man spiders on these cobwebs on this side. But then on the back, Deadpool would have a Canadian license plate, being that he's played by Ryan Reynolds from Canada. And there it is. So that's what this thing is going to look like. Of course, it had the lights, which we already showed, but I really feel like those wheels make a great finishing touch. These are Treal wheels, by the way, and not sure exactly the model that they give on them, but love Treal wheels are probably my favorite wheels. I use them the most of anything. Just price for what you get, they're amazing. The reason why I had to wait till now is I was waiting for the brass rings to put in the front, so we give a little more weight in the front versus the heavy steel rings that are in the back wheels. So the steel rings in the back, I think, are 78 grams a piece, and these are something over 100 grams a piece for the brass rings. So, and you can even see like the compression of the tire is a little bit more from the weight from those wheels. That's gonna just again bring the center of gravity of this thing down, because it is top heavy, especially with all the extra stuff I put in it. But I think it's gonna make this truck a lot more stable. Of course, everything else that we did to lower it down, just make it look really sharp. So I'm really excited. Tomorrow night is the spooky crawl. We'll shoot some footage while we're there. I have some amazing news. Look at that. So that turn signal or indicator right there, running light, whatever you want to call it, the amber one, wasn't working. And what was even wilder was that the wiring broke for this light as well. I don't know if Axial just had a manufacturing issue process with what was going on there, but essentially both of these lights were not working. So I stopped at my local hobby shop, Fast and Fun Toy and Hobby here in Green Bay, and one of their guys there, Bryce, who's actually very good at soldering, good guy. In fact, if you go to their social media page, he's often the ones doing the introductions for new vehicles when they get them in. But I asked him if he could resolder these lights, and he did a good job. He got this one, he resoldered this one, but for some reason it wasn't working when we wired it back up. And I thought to myself, he thought he saw something that was missing in the light. I didn't see anything, and being that I work with LEDs a lot, I was like, you know, LEDs are pretty robust. He thought that the LED actually had a filament that burned out, and I'm like, that's not really how LEDs generally work. So curiosity got the best of me. I stripped back the heat shrink on the wires, desoldered the LED, and tried resoldering it myself. And I am terrible at soldering, y'all, okay? I am very amateur, and it took me a while to really get it and get it up. And then anyway, point is that I desoldered the wires, then hooked the LED or hooked the wiring up to the truck, and then held the wires on the leads on the diode to see if it would come on and flicker on. And sure enough, it flickered on. So I knew that the diode was still good. It was probably just wired backwards, because when you're wiring these things, there's no indicator of what's a positive or negative. And even though on the white LED, he was saying that the bigger end of the leads coming off was the positive, that maybe wasn't the case for this one. So I think it got wired backwards is what happened between the positive and negative. So I desoldered it, tested it, figured out which was the positive and negative terminal, soldered it back together best as I could. I really tried to do a good job. Must have done a good enough job because it's working. And then put, you know, of course, put the heat shrink tubing back over it to make sure it was protected. And we are up and running. So super happy and excited that I was able to get that done and do it successfully, because now we have a fully working front end with our lighting. And of course, we've got our rock lighting still with the red lights, and our tail lights working too. So again, big thanks to Fast and Fun here in Green Bay for helping me out with this. Super excited and ready for tomorrow night to do this. Again, like we showed earlier, we've got those beautiful red and silver Treal rims on this thing. It is just looking ready to go. I thought to myself, let's take a look at how it runs. It's pretty quiet. I mean, I'm running it, you know, about 40–50% right there. If I slow crawl, there's no noise at all. You can hear the servo, but it's completely silent when you're slow crawling. Another cool thing is on my Flysky, and this is something that Traxxas has that people really like, but on the Flysky system, we also have cruise control. Here's my throttle hand. I'm in the dark, but I just took it off the throttle because I clicked the button I assigned to activate cruise control, and now the truck is just running on its own. And if I click that button again, it cancels it. Pretty nice. I wonder if it cancels it. Yep, it cancels it if I touch the throttle too. So if I hit the brake, it cancels it. If I try to go faster, that's interesting. I cannot go faster. I just tried pulling the throttle all the way. But if I go the other way, stops it. So almost like tapping the brake in your actual car to cancel cruise control, it works on the RC car. That's pretty sweet. Super excited that this thing is ready to go. All the lights are working on it. Down the line, we might get some pods and a light bar just to really make this thing off-roaded out. However, it was a lot working on this thing just for all the detail we put in for the Halloween theming stuff. And something that my friends at the hobby shop suggested, and I probably will do, is I'll probably keep this Deadpool themed, but then just take off all the Halloween stuff after this. We'll see you tomorrow at the Spooky Crawl. All right, we are out here at the Spooky Crawl 2025, and we're already out on the trail. I didn't really get any footage of the meetup. There wasn't really a driver's meeting or anything like that, but we got a bunch of people right here behind. Looks like one of the vehicles is having a problem. They're looking at it. I know two of the trucks in this group here had some issues with their rear wheel drive. They are front wheel drive only, so something happened to their drivetrain that it's only working in the front. So I had to dub over this part because while I was on the trail, I was playing the official Deadpool music playlist from Apple Music, which of course has copyrighted music in it, but wanted to show off the fact that the CJ7 looked great on the trail here, and was going to also say at this point, I am going to drive this thing like a baby to make sure that it gets to the judging portion of the competition completely unscathed. So here we go. We're walking through Barrett's Creek right now. I have the just the lights from the truck going to kind of show you what just the stock lights look like and how much they illuminate. Now, if we look over here, we have some trucks with some pretty bright light kits. Oh, somebody almost went down the hill there. Oh, he's moving fast. That's TRX4, right?
Yeah, I got a little bit bigger motor in here. I got the Hobbywing 8 in here.
Okay.
So a little custom in here. A little bit bigger.
Nice.
It's the second one I've owned of these, and so I want to do something a little bit different this time.
Sure. I like the orange and white livery on there.
Yeah, I think that was my favorite. What's that one? Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, blue, low, white.
All right. Which way do we want to go here? The left or right?
No matter to me. I think I'm going down.
You know what having cruise control has taught me is that when I walk with the truck and try to keep a constant speed, I found out that it would go ying, ying, ying. And I thought maybe that's just how these brushless motors run, you know, to kind of keep their speed. But after having cruise control, I figured out, nope, that's my trigger finger bouncing on the transmitter from just the natural motion of walking. Look at the moon up there tonight. Definitely an appropriate sky and moon for a Halloween weekend. Well, yeah, it looks like we're broke off from where a lot of the rest of them went. All right, I'm gonna turn this on. Low beam, save battery. Yeah. Oh, there's guys up there. Oh boy, the CJ7 with all the mods to it, the Hobbywing. Just, we haven't really pushed anything, but it's just cruising nice. This is a great trail truck. What up, what up? Vroom, vroom. He's got a sound module in the one truck behind me. We're definitely up back with the group again. I feel like the group is going to be bigger than it was last year. All right, to our right here, we are walking behind the biggest house in Brown County. This mansion, if you look at it on Google Maps, you'll see it. It has its own water park. And when I say water park, I don't mean just a swimming pool. It actually has like what you would expect for a mansion-sized water park, like big lagoon area, palm trees, kind of a thing. I think they're fake, of course, because we do not have the climate for palm trees here in Wisconsin, but this here looks like the rear side of a garage with garage doors. It's owned by Bay Industries, which they are a major packaging paper company here. So yeah, a lot of money. Big place. This is the meetup spot. And crawl up that, man, just crawled up that big rut, no problem. Go CJ7. And look good doing it too.
Oh no, everybody watch your step.
Oh, is there some animal excrement? How do we know it's not worse that way?
Right, fair point. Yeah.
Let's take a look at what we got for the vehicles here. We've got, oh, it's like little ghost pumpkins, ghost lights. There we go. There's an SCX6 like I have. Let's take a look from this side. Oh, he's got some eyeballs in the back of that. He's got the cobweb material, some spiders.
Where'd it go? Where'd it go?
Right here, I'm standing next to it.
This one we've got
Right there.
Right there.
something going on here with, looks like Barbie and some
Back up.
soldiers'
Clear
ghost
the,
face.
clear the area.
Yeah. Leaves over there or something.
They're dealing with the dog pile,
We can everybody back up about 10 feet.
just to get away from the smell.
Yeah.
I don't blame us.
No, there's somebody that's gonna step in
Already did.
it. Won't be me, but he did.
Once was enough.
So you got yours all set up then?
Oh, I'm down here.
There you
And him a duck.
go. Heck yeah.
Oh, thank you. Right
nice.
there. Yep.
Oh, you went full decoration.
Oh yeah. Here.
I found the thing you had on your radio.
Yep. All right.
Put your phone down too.
Yeah, I got it. I'll get it. Here. All right. There we go. 20 feet of fairy lights. Charge up the glow in the dark stuff a bit. It doesn't stay glow in the dark long. There we go.
Skeletons and everything does too.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, I was trying to spread the word as much as possible. I'm surprised we don't have more trucks here
There's
yet.
a bunch of people who have
Still crawling around.
the parking lot.
I didn't end up winning the best decorated contest. The truck that won was a Jeep. It was a Jeep, but it was like an army Jeep with a trailer, and had 3 very large Barbie Ken dolls, 2 Ken dolls in the front dressed up in their army uniforms, and then Barbie in the back, I guess just being I don't know if you want to say the dancer girlfriend, you know, that they tell you to avoid when you're in the military. The command in the military is always telling the privates to not marry the dancers, you know what I mean? But anyway, the other ones that won second and third place, they were decorated. It looked like they were decorated with things that were from like Spirit of Halloween, just you got off the shelf. They did a good job strapping all the pieces to their trucks with the decorations. It looked good. It wasn't scale, you know, and that was one thing I was trying to go for. I thought perhaps it would get more of a strong showing being scale with what I did, but you know, I think it almost worked against me because it wasn't as loud. Like my truck and the decorations on it weren't as loud as like the ones that had more votes, and you know, lesson to be learned there, I suppose. All right. Oh, looks like I'm hung up. Can't get over that. Too big of a stump for the CJ7, or too big of a root. All right. So now after the contest of best decorated truck, we're going to head down further into the trails. If you look down there, there's a lot of RC cars out here tonight. A lot of trucks. I'd say there's probably, again, about 50. I thought there would be a lot more than last year. I'd say there's probably about the same as last year, but still a good turnout, a lot of people, good crowd of people. This is good fun. You know, something you could bring your kids to as well, but a lot of dads out here, I would say. I have to say that cruise control is so underrated. I just had to walk down kind of a steep section and wanted to really watch my footing, and having to drive the truck at the same time while doing that can lead to disaster if you're not careful. But the fact that I'm able to just put the truck on cruise control to keep moving forward and just have to touch the wheel to change its direction, that is clutch. I'm going to make sure that feature is programmed into the remote for all my crawlers that are using this Flysky system. I got somebody with a basher going ahead. Oh, now we've got a wood bridge and a little creek. I am not taking this truck through the creek. This truck is definitely a princess.
But the goal, it's like a big daddy almost. So our goal, my Oregon TJ transmission.
Oh my gosh, we got chaos going on here. Sure. Oh.
Yeah, I look for pistons. I can't find anywhere.
So we've been side hilling almost that whole time, and the thing stayed planted. Like that was a really kind of a sharp incline to one side. All right, looks like we're going through some leaves here to follow the trail. And got some moisture on the leaves, so yeah, be careful there. There we go. All right, back onto the regular trail here. So is it? That's literally just stopping on you like that? Maybe try swapping it out. All right, we are going up these roots here. You know, this is climbing pretty good, considering how low slung I have it. Got hung up on that root. No issues. There we go. This is a great trail truck. I'm sure the upgrades like the VFD transmission and of course brass weights in the Treal wheels, and then the rear wheels still have heavy steel weights. That's all greatly reduced the center of gravity on what is otherwise a pretty top heavy truck out of the box. Of course, remember we also put the 90mm or 92mm D.Lux Fab Shocks on here, which are even with the medium springs, it squats all the way down on the shocks. So we're not running droop, but I almost feel like we might as well be. You need help getting a new battery in there, bud?
No, I'm good.
All right, we got a little more of a rooty section here. Nothing crazy though, just a few roots. We'll drive over them. Won't get hung up at all. Looks like we're stopping here for something. We've come to a fork in the road. Excuse us if we would, please. Thank you.
Run my SCX10 because I got the best steering angle.
And they do the same in the 10 Jesse does that problem.
All right, we are going left. Like Zoolander, I turn left. I gotta say that thing looks good. Those fairy lights just are a nice touch on the roof rack. A little bit of rough terrain, but soaking up the bumps really nice. You know, this is called a single track bike trail here. You can tell because the worn path, you can see that, is only about 8-9 inches wide. It's how the cyclists ride through right in the middle. But what's kind of neat about it, it's perfect size for this truck. It looks scaled, like this truck is driving down a trail meant for it. Gotta love that cruise control feature. That was really nice. Trying to figure out which way to go? Yeah. All right, so we were just trying to figure out which way to go there. Seems like we're trying to figure out the way to go that is the most direct route back to our vehicles. Okay, it's just going to turn us around, it looks like. Wait, no, we're going down. And back into the heavy leaves again. And look, they're just up ahead of us. So. All these trails back here in Bears Creek seem to all just reconverge, which is kind of nice because, well, yeah, you can get lost. It's not very likely. Looks like I'm kind of leading the pack now here. Oh, we're going heading down in here. You know what? We're gonna go this way. Bridge. A little muddy there. Oh, just went through some nasty mud. Dang, it doesn't look like my crawler got too affected by it, but I definitely avoided it with my shoes. Oh, geez, mud. What's up? One battery. Well, she didn't win the contest, which I was really hoping to take home the win for that. Because look how beautiful this truck is and how nicely in scale it was decorated with everything. But you know what? Next year we'll try something different. All right, that was Spooky Crawl 2025, guys. We'll see you on the next one.
As I was sitting here cutting the video down and editing it to upload to YouTube, I realized it was long. So if you made it all the way to the end and watched through it, thank you so much. I appreciate your viewership. And I realize that it's not as high cut and entertaining as some of the other YouTube creators out there. I'm new to YouTube, so I'm working on it. I'm going to be learning, hopefully getting better, expanding the channel. But you're subscribing to the channel, watching the video, giving a like, sharing a comment, tell me what you think about it. How can I improve? What else would you like to see? All that super helps, and I super appreciate it. Anyway, wanted to give a shout out to Brad, who organized the Spooky Crawl, and thank him for doing that. You know, doing the Spooky Crawl is such a cool thing because the hobby is so much more fun when you can get out with other people and share just the joy of what RC is and get out there with other people. And it's like that with, I'm sure, just about any hobby, that it's more fun when you have other people. So take this message to encourage getting together, meeting up with people IRL, as they say these days, in real life, and enjoy this. So thank you for doing the Spooky Crawl. I have a crawl coming up that we're calling Last Crawl of the Fall, y'all, this Saturday. That's going to be here in Green Bay. So if you're local to the area, go check out the event page. Try to join the local Facebook groups for Green Bay. I think it's Green Bay Area RC and Northeast or NE Wisconsin RC Club. Look up those groups on Facebook. I may not have said them exactly right, but you should be able to find them from that. And look to join us and come on out with your RC cars, or maybe go to Fast and Fun Toy and Hobby if you're here in Green Bay and get yourself one. So most importantly, enjoy it, have fun with it, and we'll see you out in the trail. Thanks so much.